And we're live. Oh, welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much. So we're back with our Entrepreneurship with Purpose today, and we have our entrepreneur today who's going to be um, just teaching us about what she does, sharing some of the amazing work that she does. Thank you so much, and welcome, Libby. I thank you so much for your time. And yeah, let's just get right into it because I've got a lot to ask you. I won't lie. Like, I've got a lot to ask you because I was reading a lot. So it's just also for myself as well. Besides the people, I was just reading so much. So let's get right into it. So thank you so much once again for joining. My name is Piwe Mwabe, and this is Entrepreneurship with Purpose. So, what I understand with what you do, you are the founder of Akazi Capital, and Akazi Capital is bridging the gender gap for female entrepreneurs. That's what you do, and you're here with us. You're going to share your journey with us, and yeah, let's get right into it. And we welcome everybody for joining. I can see people are joining in. Please, when you join in,
Amazing.
just say, please just mention the country that you are joining in from so that we can know. And if you have any questions for Libby, please don't be afraid to just drop them in our chat so that we can just bear in mind to keep time into consideration. So let's just get right into it. I just want to know, so everybody's been waiting. Who is Libby and where are you from?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Pia. Thanks so much for having me on your platform. It's wonderful to be here today. Yes, so I'm Liebe from Cape Town, South Africa. Proud South African, living abroad now. I live in Canada. And yes, I'm the founder and partner of Akazi
Mhm.
Capital, and we're a fund that invests in female entrepreneurs on the African continent. So the reason Akazi was born is really when we started reading about the dismal funding rates, facing female entrepreneurs. 3% raised by female founders in startup funding. We thought that was absolutely ridiculous and couldn't really understand why. And so we decided that we need to do something about this because we know there's a massive opportunity to be tapped into. And that's why we decided to launch this fund. And I guess the way our fund is a bit different is the fact that we're leveraging blockchain technology to kind of build a fund that's very different from the traditional funds that are out there. And we're really looking to bring in the crowd and raise money and really tap into untapped pools of capital at the moment, and bring in other kinds of players to this kind of early stage VC financing, so that more people can get behind female founders.
Oh, amazing, amazing. So before our interview, I was just reading so much about female found, investor bias. And,
Mhm.
I just pulled out a couple of reports. I consulted the MasterCard Foundation and another report, the BRITER Bridge, I think. So they're exploring
Yeah.
Africa's gender gap in startup finance. And I was just doing an analysis on the surveys that were posted, just understanding. And the one thing that just caught my eye was the fact that they mentioned that the top funded Africa headquartered countries were South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt,
Mhm.
and Kenya. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, oh my goodness, how many African countries do we have? Like, how many African countries do we have? And that just really, it puzzled me. And this leads to my next question. Like, why female entrepreneurs?
Mhm. So we know that female entrepreneurship is very strong and very prevalent on the continent.
Yes.
Sub-Saharan Africa has some of the highest entrepreneurship rates amongst females in the world, really. But when you look at the funding, it's not there to back it up, right? So when we talk to some of the entrepreneurs and we hear about stories about them going to banks and having to, bring in a cousin who is a male partner just so that a loan can be approved, or people bringing in their husbands because there's this image that as a female founder somehow we're higher risk, and we at Akazi know that's absolutely not true. Studies have been shown that actually a dollar invested in a female founder actually returns as a higher return than when you look at a similar rate amongst male founders. So that is out of the US, but we think it's fairly realistic to believe that's the story around the world as well. But I think a big bias as well is when you look at who has the capital, right? So many of the funds, many of the VC funds are still quite male dominant. It's quite a male dominant industry. So when you have an investor on the other side of the table that doesn't necessarily relate to the product offering, that you're delivering, or doesn't really see the value in what you're doing, then I think there is that kind of mismatch and a missed opportunity that happens there. So we think that another piece of the puzzle is that we need to have more capital in the hands of female capital allocators and fund managers, so that we can kind of get past that bias. And another kind of layer to that too is people of color, right? So
Yes.
we need to start breaking down all these barriers, and so that female founders can, like, people can start seeing the value in them and what they're doing.
I love what you mentioned about the whole investor bias, because I was reading last year. I was reading on the Mastercard index report, and I discovered that some African countries, women can't access banking accounts. That they can't open their own banking accounts, and in some countries as well, in African countries, you can't start a business. You can't register a business by yourself. You need your husband to be the one, or if a family member, like you said, a cousin. So that's really struck me. But like, what I also did not understand is that I also read that Ghana produced the most entrepreneurs. I think it was in 2020 or 2020. But
Mhm.
here we are producing so many female entrepreneurs, but we don't get this funding. Like you said, we don't have access to this funding, but like we have the potential of producing so many female entrepreneurs. So
Mm.
this is
Yeah, there's a mismatch. There's a huge mismatch, and I think also it also kind of reflects, or maybe a part of the, like, something that plays into the story too is maybe the types of businesses that these entrepreneurs
that's
are
it.
involved in, right? Like they may be viewed as more like just sustenance, and it's a small shop, like a market with somebody selling vegetables. So maybe it's not viewed as an investable business, like some kind of tech company, for example. So we also need to make aware that there's different types of funding for different types of entrepreneurs, and there's a role to play with different kinds of capital players, right? So it's not everyone that VC funding makes sense for, right? Because it's not necessarily that it matches your kind of business model. So we do also need to bring in other types of players, banks who say they have female banking offering, like a female banking offering. Sometimes it's more of like putting on a pink label and kind of ticking a box on their side, for their CSR responsibilities. But we actually need different kinds of players to come out with instruments that match the needs of the entrepreneur, um, the actual need of the entrepreneur.
Oh my goodness. You also mentioned the whole I was also reading about the informal businesses. The reason why female entrepreneurs are also not really funded is because they usually operate informally. And that also tends to hold them back. So it's a very difficult,
Mm,
when I was reading about the gender gap, it's something very difficult and really needs it needs so much. We need
mm,
to all jump in this one.
mm.
Please
Can
take
I,
us
can I,
through. Mhm.
Yeah, sorry. I also think it's important to kind of point out that it's not that female founders are only running these kinds of,
Yes,
small type
true.
of businesses. Yeah, they're not only playing in, or it's not just kind of like a hobby project that becomes a business. No, these female founders are building amazing businesses in different industries, whether it's logistics, whether it's fintech, whether it's agriculture, healthcare. So female founders can be found in different industries, and they can be found from little small shops all the way up to these companies that are now unicorns and IPOing, especially when you look to what's happening in North America. So I think we need to stop thinking that female founders are only small types of entrepreneurs. I think there's a big scale of what they can do, and what types of businesses work for the lifestyle that they have, or the dreams that, like, the things that they want to accomplish. But I think it's also important that we have players in each of those buckets along that spectrum that can provide them the financing that's appropriate for their business.
So true. It's the perception around what they're doing that's being overlooked. And
Mhm.
yeah, you're totally right about that, because it's that we view female founders, like, like you said, it's the woman owning the small shop, It's, you know, it's never the woman who has this big tech company that's leading. But like, I do understand where you're coming from with that point. And I'd like you to please take us through your journey of establishing Akazi. Like, how did it all begin? Like, how did it start, and where are you right now?
Yeah. So my background is my former life. I was working in private client wealth management in North America, and then kind of got disillusioned with, like, I felt like there was more to what I wanted to do professionally, and then I moved over to the impact investing side. And for me, that was really rewarding because it kind of showed me this world where it's not only about the financial return, but it's also about looking at what's the social and the environmental and, you know, those kinds of consequences to the investments that you make. And so I just decided, you know, I've always wanted to work back on the continent, being South African. And I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs in my life. Many of my family members are entrepreneurs themselves. And so I decided, you know, if I'm not going to do, if I'm not going to do it, who else is, right? And there are lots of other amazing founders or fund managers out there. But I decided I also want to play my part in funding female founders. And so we decided that we're going to launch this fund. But again, we kind of were grappling with this idea of the traditional way of raising a fund. And we really see the potential that we can have by bringing in other players, right? So it doesn't only have to be high net worth individuals or institutional capital, but people, for example, successful female corporates on the continent, or, you know, people who have a little bit of money that they've been able to save up, and they say, you know, I want to pay it forward to the next generation, and also not seeing it as a handout, but really looking at it as an investment, right? So yeah, so that's how we decided to launch this fund. So we have raised, we've raised some money, and we've made our first 3 investments out of our fund, all interestingly in the healthcare space, in very exciting businesses. So 2 in Nigeria and 1 out of Mozambique. And yeah, and I think the types of investments we've made as well kind of speak to the future we'd like to see on the African continent. So, for example, the one is a mobile first pharmacy and health platform where people can really take charge of, you know, the medications they need to offer, but also becoming more aware of their general health picture and getting access to some other tools that this company is putting out. The other one is decentralizing lab testing. So making lab testing come to your home as opposed to you spending hours in traffic and trying to get to, you know, the lab to do these things. And then the other one is also really interesting. It's they manufacture and design, or they design reusable menstrual health products, which we know is so important, right? So kind of bringing period wear to young girls and young women, making sure that they're staying in schools because they're not having to miss school because they're on their period, right? And making them really proud of the bodies that they live in. So for us, it's also important that the types of investment we make have impact at the heart of what they do. And yeah, and that way we hope to leave the world a bit of a better place, if I can be cheesy like that.
No, you're not being cheesy. This is entrepreneurship with purpose for a reason. You're making the world
Exactly.
a better place. Your contribution is big. Yes, you've invested in 3 entrepreneurs. That is something so big, because imagine you those 3 women have also contributed to the economy growing, and they've hired people. So you're not just, you know, it's nothing small, it's something very big. So
Yeah.
you should actually give yourself a pat on the back, because that is amazing work. And that's why we call this platform Entrepreneurship with Purpose. So my next question for you is, okay, so we have women listening out here. We have women listening online, and they are probably looking for funding as well. They want to approach you. They've heard about what Akazi does. So can you take us through the process? So I come to you, what's the criteria? How does it
Mhm.
work? Yes, can you just take us through so that anybody
Sure.
watching and looking for funding can
Mhm.
just know the process and just approach you immediately after this live, come to you, and yes.
Absolutely. So I would say, you know, Akazi, we're really open to meeting entrepreneurs. We love seeing what everyone is doing on the continent. So what we do have is we have a website where we have an email address that people can reach out to us at. We also have kind of a questionnaire that we put out there just to find out more about what your business and what it's all about. And then should there be a match, with the type of business that you have and what we're looking for, then we would arrange for follow-ups from someone from our team to reach out and have those first couple interviews and figure things out. And then we do undergo a due diligence process. So that just means, getting to know your business, finding out what's really under the engine, kind of figuring out the nitty gritty. And then from there, we would go on and further on with the investment. But I'd say, the one thing that is quite difficult for the entrepreneur, and similarly for us as people raising funds, is kind of, knowing who to approach and what is the best type of investor for you. Because a fund like ours might be appropriate for some businesses, but maybe not others, right? So I think there also needs to be more work done about having just resources available for people to go to say, if this is your type of business, this is the type of investor that's interested in this, right? So for example, if a male founder comes to me, they have no female co-founder, or, they're not based in Africa. Like, I'm like, why are you even reaching out to you? So also do a bit of homework on the investor, because, in the interest of saving everyone's time, you really need to figure out whether it's a match. And I would also like to say that even if it's not a yes, don't be discouraged, because maybe it's just not the right match for you at that point in time. But I know many, like myself, I'm always looking to find a way, if I can connect you to someone who else I think might be a better fit. We're always happy to make those kinds of introductions as well. But yeah, check us out. Our website is akazi.capital. And there is an email that's listed on there. And we're also on LinkedIn and on Twitter. So feel free to reach out and connect with us.
So,
but yes, the type of, you were asking, about the type of deals we do. Yes. So our typical check size is between 25,000 and 100,000 US dollars. And so we're typically participating in like pre-seed rounds, right? And co-investing alongside other investors. And we are sector agnostic in our approach. So our mission is really to back the most dynamic and exciting entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, regardless of the industry. Although we really like healthcare, I would say agri, financial inclusion, and even creative economy. We're looking at potential deals on that side as well. And also and the consumer space too. So yeah, so a pretty wide range, but those are kind of some of our favorites.
Very, very wide range, I must say. So anybody listening right now, it's Akazi.capital, Akazi.capital. You need to be based in Sub-Saharan Africa. Go on the website, please go on the website, fill in the questionnaire, see if you match up with them. Don't be afraid to express yourself, because they need to know, they need to know where you are. We can't just, hand out funds without knowing. Express yourself fully, write, share, and then they'll get back to you. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Like Livy said, that don't be afraid. They are very open. They are open. They won't overlook you because of what you do. Because what I've seen with female entrepreneurs as well, we tend to lack confidence in what, in ourselves. So don't be afraid. Give it a try. Who knows? So go on the website, akazi.capital, fill in the questionnaire and see where you can go. Try it out. Please don't miss out on this opportunity. Who knows? Who knows? Like, who knows? Shoot your shot, please. If you're a female entrepreneur needing of any startup capital, this is the platform for you to go and try your luck. I believe they'll help you.
Yeah. So one thing I will also just kind of say is, the types of businesses we're looking for too, though, is businesses that can scale, that have the potential, so it's maybe, and we do also like tech-enabled businesses, just because of that ability to scale and to go into other markets. So for us, we're looking at startups that have a big dream, that want to go into big markets, that kind of have a big vision for what they want to achieve and believe they can be a market leader in what they are doing. So I think that kind of speaks to all three of those other investments that I spoke about. These are companies that could really be, they're market leaders in that category, and they can go out into other countries and just blow them out of the water and, replicate what they can do. So for us, really, that scalability, replicability, and the potential to be kind of, a superstar. That's what we're looking for. So so yeah, if those are the kinds of businesses that anybody out there is running, a tech-enabled startup looking for funding, we'd be happy to talk to you.
So I'm curious, Libby. So what if do you also assist entrepreneurs who say to you, I've got an idea, or I've been trading, but it's informal. Like, do you also
Hmm.
have a place for them? Because so many entrepreneurs are trading, but it's informal. They have not went through the whole registration process of their companies. And others, it's like, okay, I've got this big idea. I live on the continent. I've got this
Hmm.
big idea, and I believe that this idea has the potential of blossoming. So
Hmm.
how do you connect with such entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
What's your stance on that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we don't have a requirement for companies to already be revenue generating or profitable. We do like to see companies that have traction. We've just, so whether it's people that have signed up to your platform, or users, or just, you have a very clear path to which you're going to execute. Like, you tell me this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm like, okay, I can see you executing this right away, right? But we do like to see like that you've tested out your idea a little bit.
Yes.
We have met with entrepreneurs who haven't yet maybe taken the jump, but I think what's also important is relationship building, because even if you're not ready right now, we can still have a relationship, keep in touch, and maybe down the line you can kind of get to the point where we're ready to sign that check. But we are known to be more catalytic in our investments, in that maybe we're the first like fund investing in you. Maybe you've only been able to raise some money from friends and family, or bootstrapped so far, and then Akazi can come in, and we can be the first kind of institutional player, investing in you. But I would say, if you haven't yet made that leap, we can still continue a relationship. There are lots of amazing people out there that have accelerators, so that have a
Mhm.
program for female entrepreneurs. Um, and so happy for you to maybe first work with those accelerators, and then we can come in after that. Once you kind of have fleshed things out with your business model, figured out the strategy, refined it a bit more. So yeah, I think there's different stages for that as well. And I think there are some amazing accelerators on the continent. I'm thinking of places like CC Hub that has a specific women program. There's another investor who runs, so they're called She Equity, but they run a Sheba business accelerator program as well. So there are those types of accelerators that try and work with entrepreneurs who are in the early stages of their startups, to kind of get their model ready for when investors can come in.
Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. I hope ladies, women out there who are, um, trading informally or have an idea, have listened, are going to be listening to this because it's very informative. So you don't close your door, but you do recommend, which is something amazing, because sometimes I feel like the issue is information. People don't have the right
Mm.
access to information. So having the right information can lead you into your opportunity, and it's also a way for them not to give up, or just because you
Mhm.
have placed them and said, okay, this is not going to work right now, but it's not the
Mhm.
end. It's not the
Yeah.
end. There are other avenues for you to get to the ultimate destination. So
Mm.
I'm really very excited about that part. So any
Um,
entrepreneur who has an idea or is trading informally, take heart. It's not the end. It's not the end. It's
mhm.
also very important that you inform yourself. Accelerator programs do exist. They do exist,
Mhm.
and like Libby said, that there are so many, and they're open to hearing you out. So take heart, and don't just give up because maybe of the rejection. There are other avenues of getting to where you want to get to. And I also
Yeah.
wanted to know, Libby, so what are some of the challenges that you encounter at Akazi Capital?
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I would say, like for us, some people may have said, well, aren't you kind of limiting yourself by only focusing on female founders? You're going to have a pipeline problem. And I can very proudly say pipeline has not been an issue for us at all. there has been, and I think it also speaks to, the access you're able to have, right? Kind of just touching back on your point of access, I feel like also female entrepreneurs don't necessarily have the same access to, to funding, to mentorship or sponsorship, which is even more important than mentorship. So I feel like that whole access issue is we need a place where entrepreneurs can come together, as entrepreneurs. And we also need a place where investors can come in and meet these amazing entrepreneurs. Because instead of us all working on our own and in our own pockets, we need to open up and really come together as a community. Because for us as investors, we are looking for entrepreneurs. Like, our job is to find entrepreneurs. And for entrepreneurs, they need the funding, right? So we need to kind of break down these barriers and improve access, I would say, and stop making it like, depending on where you went to school, or like, what place, like, that kind of societal like blockages that we have, right? Like, we need to open up and come together as an ecosystem and really work together, because it's in everyone's interest that we work together.
Access. I love what you said. Access is key. Like, access is key, especially when it comes to opportunities in terms of funding. Access is key. And I appreciate the fact that what you said as well about the perception. Again, it comes to the perception of the type of business that you're doing. Education as well, because when you read on some of these reports, you read about how so many female one of the reasons that female entrepreneurs lack in confidence is because some of them are not formally educated, and they feel like, oh no, I'm not ready to take up such funds when allocated to me because of not having an educational background. And sometimes that's not the case, because what I understand with investors as well, you can have an option where you are guided with your finances. You can take that option to say, okay, I'm taking this investment opportunity, however, I would like somebody taking me through these funds, how I can spend them on my business. So it's really it's a difficult one, but
Yeah. And again, I would say, that kind of education is really the perfect place for places like accelerator programs, or
true.
people that are running programs that teach you very specific business skills, right? Because like you said, like, not everyone has to go to university to build a business. No, there's a lot more at play. There's lots of people with street smarts that, yeah, and what some people went to university for, they're not doing in their day job now, right? Like, let's just be real. So I think it's also about, owning that and saying, this is what I want to do, and I can go on a journey to learn the skills I need to learn to help me grow my business. But it doesn't necessarily mean I have to go to university to learn those skills, right?
Yes.
It might be much more targeted courses and program. And I think that's also the beauty of the internet, right? We can go on YouTube and learn so much. We can take courses on Coursera or whatever and learn specific skills, right? So I think the whole future of how we learn will change too, because I think it's much more important to learn tangible skills that can actually help you execute your day-to-day business.
Amazing. Amazing. I love you don't have to actually go to school to learn how to run a business. Like, and we're not saying we're not really
No. And I'm all for higher
watered down on
education.
going to school, but
Yeah.
it's very important that just come out of their shells as well. It's very important that women step out of looking down on their abilities, because I believe women have some of the greatest abilities, but it's because it's all this, I don't know, maybe it's planted somewhere in their head that no, you need to look a certain way, you need to go to school or so forth. But I feel that we need to move away from that. That's why this platform is called Entrepreneurship with Purpose. And this is my second last question to you. So what is the highlight of years, like these three ladies that you invested in? What's that highlight? What's that thing that you just walk away with that it just makes you smile even when everything goes wrong? You just look back and you smile at yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, so for me, really, the types of business they're building, right? And the goals that they have and the vision
Yeah.
that they have
So
to
I
build
think
something
we
that's,
lost.
sorry. Hi, do you hear me now? Am I back? Hi, Piwa, do you hear me? I think I may have lost you. Piwa, should I try and join again? Okay, let me go back.
We lost Libby. She's coming back. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you, Angela. Thank you so much. She's back. She just had an internet connection issue. So we're
Yeah,
just
I'm
bringing her
back.
back. You're back.
Right. Sorry about that.
No issue.
Yeah. Yes, so you were asking me what makes me so excited about these female founders
Yes.
that we're working with. I'd say just the vision that they have for the types of businesses they're building, and the fact that it's not only about being financially successful, but it's also about the type of, like the social and the environmental benefits that these companies have. So I think like this calling that they have to doing something bigger than them and having a real impact. That's really what gets me excited. And so I'm just so fortunate to be not only the companies that we've invested in, but also just meeting other entrepreneurs and hearing about their business, hearing about the struggles, hearing what they've overcome to get where they are today. But yeah, just for me, it's about the impact and about coming to realize that when we invest in businesses, we need to invest in businesses that do good and not businesses that only do well financially.
I love what you said. It's not about the financial aspect. It's about the contribution being made, and that's so amazing. And that's why I opened this platform. Like, I made it. I created this platform because it's entrepreneurship with purpose. We want entrepreneurs who are actually making strides. We're besides making strides, we want entrepreneurs that are contributing positively to to the world or whichever area
Mhm.
they come from. That's what we're looking for. We want that kind of entrepreneurship that benefits society.
Mhm.
For me, it brings me so much joy when I hear that, oh, there's a woman out there who's, I was reading something about a lady. She invented a bra to detect breast
Yeah,
cancer.
in
And she's an
Nigeria, I saw
entrepreneur.
that.
It's in
Yeah.
Nigeria. And that is amazing. Like, it's amazing. That for me is like purposeful entrepreneurship, because you know that
Mhm.
females struggle with breast cancer, and here you are trying to find ways in which you can find a solution. And she invents this bra where she detects try to
Yeah.
detect breast cancer, and that's amazing. So I just love what you said. And this is my last question for you. What share, please, can you encourage any entrepreneur or any aspiring entrepreneur, any words of
Mhm.
wisdom
Yeah.
wherever they are on the continent, and they have this idea, or either they're trading informally or they're just battling in terms of finances, they at the giving up stage of the entrepreneurship
Mm.
journey. Like, what can you please just encourage them, a word of wisdom?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what I'd say is there's no such thing as an overnight success, you know? And even when it looks like it's an overnight success, it's probably not, you know? Yeah, it takes years, sometimes months and months and years before you really crack that big client, or before you get the users that you were planning for. But really, just keep going. I know it's hard. I know sometimes entrepreneurship can feel like a bit of a lonely road. But surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with people who really support you and believe in what you're doing. And on the days that you feel like giving up, reach out to those people and get that support that you need. But I'd really say persistence is key. And I think too, sometimes for some entrepreneurs who kind of are on the fence and they're not sure whether to jump in or not, take a jump, because it's only with great risk that great success could come. And I think too, if entrepreneurship was easy, everyone would do it, right?
True.
But it's not. So also be kind to yourself. Be kind of know what you need in the times that you need it, and ask for the help that you need. And then just, keep going. And hopefully we can all celebrate your success at the end of the day.
Amazing. I love what you said about it's not an overnight, you're not going to be an overnight success, and that's what we need to start putting out there. That's another reason I put this platform out there, to let them hear it from entrepreneurs themselves, that it's not an overnight success, it's not a miracle, it takes time, and the importance of networking, surrounding yourself with people who are, entrepreneurs as well. It helps. I don't take networking for granted. Your circle must be a very powerful circle, because it does get lonely. It does get lonely because sometimes your family might not understand what you're doing. They are not going to understand your struggle. So associate yourself with people who are actually going to understand your struggle. Don't be by yourself. Like, I don't like seeing entrepreneurs living very isolated lives when we have a community of entrepreneurs out there. So don't be by yourself. Make it a point to also be persistent, like Libby said. Like, be persistent. Don't one foot in, one day you're in, one day you're out. And lastly, that leap of faith. Like, I know it's not easy, but sometimes that leap of faith can make a huge difference in your business. You never know. You never know. And come out of your shell and your comfort zone. Like, when you're an entrepreneur, you already are not in a comfortable state. Like, you don't know where the next meal is going to come from. So you can't be comfortable. Like, I've never seen an entrepreneur who is comfortable. So come out of a comfort zone. And I thank you so much, Vivi. You're doing so much. You're doing amazing work. I am very happy to hear that you've invested in three entrepreneurs on the African continent. That is amazing. That is amazing. Like, I walk away and I'm like, thank you so much for that. Like, I'm always thanking people on this platform, because it's amazing. I always say, like I said to the entrepreneur that I interviewed last week, I'm like, here's the thing: when you invest in 3 women, you actually have not invested in 3 women. You've invested in 20 women, because those 3 women are going to tell their friends, and their friends are going to tell their aunties, and their aunties are going to tell, you have not invested in 3 women. You've invested in probably 20 women. So it's 3, it's just 3, the number, but it's actually, it grows. So, because as a woman, when I hear what Livy has done, I'm going to tell the next woman, and it's going to keep on growing. So hence, I'm always thanking entrepreneurs, because you're not only helping when you are helping or investing in one person, you're actually doing it for a lot of people around. And this is why this platform is called Entrepreneurship with Purpose. I thank you so much, Livy, for your time and your beautiful work. I thank you for your beautiful work that you're doing. And also, please, anybody watching out here, watching wherever you're watching from, please do consider going on Akazi Capital, read what they have to say, recommend it to somebody else. You might not need the information, but somebody else in your circle needs that information. So recommend it to somebody else, assist them, and see how you can help them connect to Libby. It will help. So please do that, and don't be afraid to also reach out to Livy. If you need clarity, just reach out to her, connect with her on social media platforms, and let's keep this going. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is Entrepreneurship with Purpose with me, Piwe Mncwabe. I thank you so much for your time and your amazing work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Piwe. Thanks for your work as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.